Have you seen this? Of course you haven't, because no light can escape a black hole. It's just science.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes. Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, I have some more cinema sins.
No. Get out of here, because it's really important that I introduce a new face on the show. I forget his name. I think it begins with T. Can you introduce yourself?
I am one half of an unsuccessful movie review podcast. I am a dorky white guy, and I make a lot of wacky references to popular culture. We talk about bad movies on my podcast, and it's called Have You Seen This? So I'm happy to make vocalized pauses and keep talking to you about movies. Follow me on TikTok.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Tom.
Tim. Yeah, my name is Tim. We have a podcast called Have You Seen This? Our website is haveyouseen.us, which doesn't match. If you want to follow us on social media, we are HYST Pod, which also doesn't match the domain name or the name of the show. I don't know why we don't have more followers. Hopefully being on this show as a guest will boost our numbers to triple digits. I don't know. Dare to dream.
Well, Travis, I'm sorry to hear about your unsuccessful movie podcast. That sounds like a terrible way to waste one's... fuck.
Look, what's 8 years between friends? I mean, if you total up the money, it's kind of like finding change in the street. Like, I think if we spend as much time going through, like, phone booths or, like, even just finding payphones and just, like, digging for change in those, if we found enough... like independent coffee shops and like donut places and just like stole the change out of the like take a penny, leave a penny tray. And we just did that continuously until like we got caught or kicked out. I think we might have made more money.
All jokes aside, Tim, It's great to have you back.
Travis.
Because my outlook has been a little on the positive side lately. And I've been waiting for somebody to come cut me back down to size. But while we're reveling...
I listened to some of the other episodes that you recorded without me, and those are some fantastic guests. So naturally I was like, can't have that.
But lest we revel too much in our success, this podcast is brought to you by Zencastr.
We could not do this without Zencastr.
Literally, because as you can tell... we have no skills and no hope whatsoever. But with Zencastr, we can broadcast our voices to the internet. It's so easy. And if you click on the affiliate link in the description for this show, it'll really help us out. And you can get a special price on Zencastr. So click away. Make your own show. Fuck it. Who cares? None of this matters.
Try it out. I know... half of you are listening to this for the first time and going, well, I could make a better podcast than that. It's like, well, click the link in the show description and do it.
That's right, Tim. Put up or shut up, I say.
Right, yeah, exactly. How I missed being hostile to strangers.
But sincerely,
yes.
It is good to have you back, Tim. However, briefly, I will miss you when you go back to that bunker somewhere near Escondido. But Let's enjoy.
Yeah, I have a lot of work to do at the sweatshop at the undisclosed location.
Yeah, so, well then, we better get moving because, the ship is blasting off straight for the heart of the black hole.
Oh, okay, bringing it back around. That reminds me of a movie that I watched recently.
It was called 2001.
Yes, it was called Son of Flubber. Yeah, it was the black hole. It is about an awesome killer robot, and there's some other people, and there's a black hole.
Yeah. End of story.
It's economical screenwriting. I mean, they show the black hole, Chekhov's black hole, right at the outset.
It's right there outside the ship.
Yeah, it is a movie from a different time. The movie has an overture.
Yes, which I kind of love. And it's also a score by John Barry. John Barry, of
Uh-huh.
course, responsible for many, many, many James Bond scores.
Mm-hmm. Remember that time when James Bond went into the black hole?
Oh, was that in Moonraker?
Yeah, I think that was her name, Black Hole. Like a
You
African
know,
American Bond girl.
Tim, there's a biopic of me coming out shortly. You know what it's called?
What?
The Fat Hole.
Ah, great.
Got my ass. That's
It's
right.
like a portmanteau of two different things.
But yeah, beautiful John Barry score. It also owes a lot to the
can't go
production
wrong.
design and matte paintings of one Peter Ellenshaw. He was the guy whose paintings were so awesome that he convinced director Gary Nelson to come aboard for this movie, which would eventually be considered a disappointment.
Right, yeah. And this was all just a long walk because you're like, I gotta have the guy who did the matte paintings for The Red Shoes and Thief
Fuck
of
yeah.
Baghdad.
Fucking
Yeah, you're a
Black
completionist.
Narcissus.
Right, yeah.
Like,
That was the name of the Bond girl.
she was played by Deborah Carr, and she was fine. But anyway,
Absolutely.
yeah, this one, I feel as though it falls into the category of those science fiction projects, which, if people liked them, it was because you were a science fiction fan in 1979, and this kind of thing was all you got.
Yeah, it was a cult classic. It was this, Silent Running,
Yes.
some kind of Space Wizards movie.
Yeah, and dropped a couple of weeks after Star Trek: The Motion Picture, another notable sci-fi disappointment of the time.
Another notable sci-fi disappointment, also with a banger orchestral soundtrack.
Yes, and like this movie, they both have their pleasures if you are so inclined. You know, if you're that kind of sicko.
Yeah.
Not
Would we credit 2001 with the sort of preponderance of, classical music in sci-fi at the time? Because that was, what, a decade earlier.
probably, and I think that 2001 was so earth
Right,
shattering that it was kind of, it was kind of like the Beatles of science fiction movies. It's like that set the standard, and
Yeah.
everyone else
We
kind of
don't
measured
really have
themselves
that
against
anymore,
it.
I don't feel.
No,
It would be nice to
everything's
kind of have
falling the
that.
fuck apart.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But if I were to like dip my toe into how everything sucks now, yeah, science fiction movies don't really have a pairing with like, sort of orchestral, classical, high-minded, although Jen, you might say middlebrow, classical music.
Mid.
Mid, yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, I think
maybe that's
so.
something worth bringing back.
Yes,
Or
because
maybe it's something that's just lost forever. Who knows? Down the black hole.
who the fuck knows? Because we kind of are on the Cygnus, which is breaking up and falling to the center of God knows what. But at least in this
Cygnus
one,
is the ship from the black hole.
yeah, there's a
I knew that.
there's a light at the end of the something, the orifice. I don't know.
Well, it is a stream of gamma rays traveling at 99.8% the speed of light. So, as a light at the end of the tunnel, you may not want to go near it.
Yeah, and I actually do want to ask you
Yeah.
your opinion of some of the science in this, since you are a science guy.
Uh-huh.
But before we get into that, like we said, this was a 1979 release from Disney. It was originally intended, back when development started in the early 70s, to be some kind of disaster picture, because that's what was hot at the time.
Oh, that's why Ernest Borgnine is in it. It's like, we need an outer space Poseidon adventure.
Yeah, like, why else would you have a Borgnine?
I don't know. I mean, because he's great in everything. That's why.
Who doesn't love
He's-
Ernest Borgnine?
He's one of the great character actors.
Yes.
That's why because this movie has, him, it's got Tony Perkins, it's got the guy from Jackie Brown.
Robert Forster.
Yeah. Maximilian Schell. Great character actors, and then I guess the lead is the blonde taken out of Central Casting out of the cloning vats.
Are you talking about Joseph Bottoms or Yvette Mew?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
Yvette Meow
yeah.
Meow.
Yeah, Joseph Bottoms he's, he came in like a 3-pack with like the guy from Hawk the Slayer and the guy from Krull.
He came in a 3-pack with his brothers, Sam and Timothy.
Ah, okay.
That's true. It's a trio of brother actors. But yes, maybe not the strongest point of the movie, but I don't know. Overall, like, I like the cast generally.
Yeah, it has some good notable actors in it, and then also the lead.
And don't forget the girl.
And the girl, yeah. I mean, why aren't more women into sci-fi, I wonder? Just like, because, I mean, her attachment to the story is my dad went missing, so already it's not even about her. And basically, she doesn't have anything to do. She is a damsel in distress eventually.
Well, don't forget, Tim, she was also basically Crystal Light Counselor Troy.
Man, they do give her ESP, but that's pretty much just like, hey, can you talk to the robot when the robot isn't around? It's like, okay, so I'm a Bluetooth headset.
Yeah.
That's my character.
That did occur to me because, and the thing is, they do have like ship-to-ship communication, like wireless communication. It's not like Star Trek where, they have a communicator. Right. Like, apparently the only way to talk to the robot when the robot isn't in the room with you is to use a lady to talk to it for you through her brain.
Well,
wow, no wonder Neil deGrasse Tyson didn't like this movie.
Mid will fly a stolen ship into a black hole rather than talk about your feelings with the robot. I don't know.
Yeah, and the other thing is that she's
all my best hack stuff.
Hey, it's like you never left, Tim.
Right? Yeah.
But she is remarkably stoic because, she finds out her dad's dead, and she's just like, oh, yeah, all right.
Like, wow, that sucks.
That's
well, maybe, it was 20 years ago, so I guess she's had some time to get used to it.
It's maybe part of the weakness of one of the weaknesses in the movie is that these aren't like extraordinarily strong characters. There isn't a lot to grab onto in that respect. I do feel as though I've sort of been press ganged into liking this movie because, as it happens, folks, we were supposed to do this one a few weeks back, but Tim has been so busy with work that we had to keep postponing it. So, like, I start off the week watching The Black Hole, and then, Tim would text me like, fuck. Like, can we push back, please, God, please kill me. I can't take anymore. I can't do it. And I'd be like, Tim, it's fine. We'll do The Black Hole next week.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, yesterday I said, can we put it off until tomorrow when I still haven't watched the movie? It's like, all right, hey, you do this to yourself.
Hey, story of my life. But,
right, yeah. Can you imagine if you were a scientist of some sort who pushed himself past that limit and went crazy?
No, I can't.
No? I don't know.
That would literally be insane. But I've watched this movie like 5 times in the last month.
Okay. So... Wow. Should offload some of my work to you. You got nothing but time.
So I think I'm like, I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I do have a sort of affection for this kind of stodgy, logy little attempt at a science fiction blockbuster.
Yeah, if it were if we define this in traveler terms, its direction would be trailing. It is not leading on anything. It is kind of following trends rather than setting them. It kind of adheres to existing tropes without really reinventing them. It doesn't bring a lot of new stuff. We have your intrepid slab of heroism. You have a jive-talking robot, and you got a mad scientist. It's like, yeah, we're doing this.
There's also a scary robot.
Right, that's true. And really that is the only thing that I remember as a kid because, as a Gen Xer, my, cultural landscape is defined by what traumatized me as a child. Yeah,
and there's quite a bit to traumatize kids in this one. Which makes it kind of interesting in the canon
More
of Disney.
interesting than you'd think, yeah.
Yeah, Disney live action films. We know that Disney had long specialized in traumatizing you through basically like manipulating you emotionally, like, shooting the cute mommy
Yeah,
deer.
killing the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. Lots of dead parents in Disney films. That's a fucking cliche.
Uh-huh.
But this one is kind of in line with the Disney of that time period that was sort of like flailing for relevance. And in a way, it reminds me of the last movie we covered, Skidoo, even though it isn't nearly as much as a disaster. It's
Oh, absolutely.
It signifies a studio trying desperately to make something relevant. And yes, it started as a disaster movie in the early 70s, but by the time the movie got rolling, disaster movies were somewhat passé. And oh wait, what's everybody lining up for at Grauman's Chinese? What is that?
Star War?
Yeah, and it's
War in the Stars.
Yeah, and I don't need to list all the things in this movie that resemble Star Wars. That would be
right.
like a waste of yours in my time, but yes.
Yeah, just point at any sci-fi space movie that was made after 77
Yes.
for like the next, I don't know, decade or so, and be like, Star Wars.
Yeah,
and until the next Star Wars movie came along.
One thing I will mention is a trait that it shares with Star Wars that I think became somewhat passé was the weird like metaphysical tone.
Okay.
Where
I would like to spend more time crapping on Disney at the time.
I am always up for shitting on the mouse, let me tell you.
Right. Yeah, because you are absolutely correct in Disney kind of fighting for relevance at the time, because as anyone with eyes to see would know, is that Disney, despite its reputation, is not creative.
No.
I'm just saying that outright. Disney is great at acquiring creative properties and then basically just like juicing them, like squeezing them for all they're worth. Every classic Disney movie, those are Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, live action movies based on the works of Jules Verne, Robert Louis Stevenson, all public domain works that Disney has then reappropriated, basically privatizing public domain culture. Anytime that they try and like forge out on their own, just doing like House of the Mouse horseshit. I mean, let's leave aside like the Mouseketeers thing entirely. But I mean, if you get
them.
Disney, if you get more Disneyfied Disney stuff, that's where you have things like the autistic coded professor, Herbie the Love Bug, the Shaggy Dog, Cat from Outer Space, Condor Man. This is Disney. They are just like up shit creek without a paddle. They're like, we need to steal something now. Sell us all of Marvel. Sell us the Star Wars franchise. Give us something that we can sink our vampire squid suckers into and drain it to keep us alive.
Man, Tim, you swerved me with a reference to Condor Man.
Only because I remember watching that on Betamax as a kid, and I'm like, Disney movies are garbage.
Yeah, the live action shit for All of People's Affection, for stuff like The Parent Trap or whatever.
Right.
Their live action movies are usually absolute
abysmal
shit. And
and I guess that trend continues through today. I mean, watch any of the live action remakes of their animated classics taken from public domain works.
Oh, you mean the thing they do where they take the beloved characters that had personality and whimsy and joie de vivre, and then just make them into completely dead, horrible simulacrums?
Just dead-eyed CGI. Yeah.
Former.
No, I mean, actually, Kimba the Lion King is not public domain. That was just upright, lifted wholesale.
And then they had Osamu Tezuka killed.
Yes. And then they're like, there's the Shakespeare guy. He wrote some pretty good stuff.
Wake up,
what if we
people,
made it
follow
about
the money.
a lion? Yeah.
But
and we don't have to pay him because he's dead. Like some of our animators.
Man. This is now the Talk Shit on Disney cast, because this is fun.
Cast. Yeah, have me on another guest podcast. I'll talk shit about Disney there.
That's some nice work, Tom.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But
I'm more than happy to, yes. So anyway, the creative holding company that is Walt Disney Pictures.
Yes, and going back to the reference to Skidoo, it really has a lot to do with why the movie feels the way it does, because I'm not going to say it's like the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
it feels old fashioned, like right from that overture at the beginning.
Okay.
Which, God, I love a movie that opens with an overture. Like, I think Tron
Mm-hmm.
actually does as well.
Probably.
Another noted failure for Disney. But,
Right, yeah. That piece of shit.
and hey, they tried to do something original and it failed horribly. But then they
See, they learned their lesson. Don't try anything original.
But
Don't try to
then-
make people feel things other than nostalgia.
But
You
they
can
and
mine that for ages.
yes, and they waited long enough that there were enough people who were like, "Oh, Tron, I remember Tron," that they were like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's do it again. Why not?"
Right.
So this has the feel of an old-fashioned movie in that it not only that
That's
it's
Robert Forster and Ernest Borgnine in it.
not only that it's copying stuff from everything that's come before, but also because it has this strange metaphysical punt of an ending, which was really because they actually legitimately didn't know how to end the film. Apparently the original screenplay just ended with they go through the black hole.
Yeah, now that is a legendary punt. That is well, we have some inside jokes that are synonymous with that I won't bore the audience with.
Yeah, we're just I'll just say maybe make up and sing a funny little song to yourself.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that is, and then the cool stuff happens.
It would have been funny if the movie had just ended with like a big question mark on the screen.
That would be just a ballsy fuck you to the audience. Be like, I don't know what happens. Then have Neil deGrasse Tyson come up and just bore the audience with spaghettification and
Make your own movie, audience.
right, yeah. I'd be like, oh, that is much more scientifically accurate and a lot less interesting. Thanks for nothing.
Thanks,
Because yeah,
Killjoy.
we know. Yeah. Neil deGrasse Killjoy. I don't know. I feel like we've just been dragging him for ages. Even that is kind of hack. We need to find another guy to make fun of.
Oh, I'm sure
I
there
don't-
will
but
be one along
who else
soon.
is willing to step up and ruin movies in the most just smooth brain pedantic way possible?
Fuck it, let's just check YouTube right now. I'm sure I'll pull up like 5 videos. Like,
Well, I see
immediately.
someone soy facing at a picture of a black hole and it's got a red circle around it. I wouldn't have noticed the black hole otherwise. But let's see. Well, what was the title of it? Oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, Dr. Reinhardt problematic question mark. Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he needs to learn some lessons about consent.
Well, not just that, but I mean, here, 10 things that you didn't notice about, in the black hole. Number one, from this completely made up YouTube video that I'm just pulling out of my ass. Yeah, you know that Dr. Reinhardt is a bad guy because he mentions early in the film Columbus discovering the New World. Yes.
Oh, good
I don't
call.
know. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so Disney was actually woke in 1979.
Right.
They were saying like this guy is a fucking colonizer.
Yeah, if you had known, you would have been able to pick up on that and be like, yeah. And
Yeah,
He,
you stupid 5-year-old stuffing popcorn
Right.
in your face until Maximilian shows up and you hide under your seat.
yeah, because he's a big scary robot.
Yes.
Yeah, also, another reason to cancel Dr. Reinhardt is that he hoards wealth. He keeps research to himself and he exploits his unpaid workers.
That's absolutely true. He is a megalomaniac.
That is probably why he, in universe continuity, he got recalled, because they're like, dude, people are saying things on social media about your work.
Yeah, Jeff
And-
Bezos was like, "Hey, can you come back to Earth so I can ask you about those like cyborg workers you got? Because I want to implement those in my warehouses."
Yeah, and then he's like, by the way, you need to remake The Black Hole with an all-female crew. It'll star Katy Perry. People are going to listen to this like on a wax cylinder in 2029 after the American Empire is turned to dust and be like, who is Katy Perry?
And they'll be like, "Wow, people listen to this shit."
It is the only like record that we have, because we are an independent podcast and we have our own archive. That's the only thing that's going to survive. See, back up your tapes, people.
I have this vision of
Yeah.
what was that video card thingy from Max Knight Ultra Spy?
Oh, is the PCMCIA card, which is a non-acronym?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
that thing, and embossed on it, like in Max Knight Ultra Spy, in that like embossed like metal text. It's like, have you seen this? And that is all that remains of Earth's mass media.
Yes. They'll be like, okay, so it was a bunch of so people in the in the twilight of civilization just adored having two inattentive, ill-spoken dullards interrupting each other. And this was a peak entertainment.
Yeah, and historians will be like, these were the two most famous people on Earth. And then people will be like, wow, like no wonder this civilization just went directly into the garbage.
Right, yeah. People from around the world listen to them.
Anyway.
And that literally, there's enough people to join hands across them. I don't know.
But allow me to continue our beloved podcast. We were speaking
Right.
of... Oh, you were listing all the reasons why Dr. Reinhardt, played by Maximilian Schell, is problematique, which he is.
Yeah, he's a mad scientist and he's playing God, which I don't know if we've seen that before in a sci-fi movie.
You know why else he's problematic?
Why?
You ever see that one? There's that one Wojak with like the crazy hair and the beard and the little staring eyes. He looks exactly like that.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's the model.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. My man, after he killed his whole crew, he did not bother to comb his fucking hair.
Right. Yeah.
Not even when a chick came on board.
Yeah. I mean, who does he have to, keep himself looking spiffy for?
Well, Maximilian was
has
like, I like you, Harry. It's very feral.
No, I understand. He never got a haircut because the only person to cut his hair is Maximilian, and he starts spinning those spinning knives going. He's like, no, I think I'll let it grow out.
He's the world's most menacing Floby.
I mean, I'm already kind of terrified of Flobies, but yeah. So we have our slab of heroism. We have a wicked villain. We have Anthony Perkins, a jive talking robot.
Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Never on set. And also
Right.
Slim Pickens, also never on set, but providing the voice of Bob.
Right, yeah.
That's weird because we've done two Slim Pickens movies in a row because Slim Pickens is in Skidoo. Yeah.
I guess he's regular Pickens then.
This is the Slimcast. Welcome.
Yeah.
But yes, fine voice work from the two robots. Yeah, we got robots because Star Wars has robots, so we gotta have robots. Although, I'll say this, the robots do provide, like, one of the two, like, insanely fucking cool moments in this movie.
The robots are more interesting than the rest of the characters, which I don't know if that is deliberate or if that's just how it worked out, because, you're a robot and you don't play by humanity's rules, so you can kind of talk out of turn in like a court jester sort of way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the robots are the most interesting, although that said, I do appreciate the, sort of not really one or the other production design. It's a little bit of Forbidden Planet, a little bit of Alien. But man, you see Vincent with those big, like, googly eyes, and you're like, come on.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this must be a Disney movie.
Right, yeah, it's like, we're learning how to pander, all right? Just give us some time. We'll figure it out. And then you'll never grow up.
To the movie's credit...
Peter Pan was a cautionary tale.
To the movie's credit, they do good work with kind of, like, the puppeteering of the robots. Vincent has some neat little tricks that he does. I like his thing of like rotating to stay upright as the ship starts to rotate when they're being pulled toward the black hole. He does look like he's floating, and there's also some really good like anti-gravity effects in this movie that are legitimately impressive.
Yeah, and I just like that, Vincent and Bob are, the same type of robot, but Bob's an older model and he's like been beat up and he's been around the block. Yeah.
And then when he sees Maximilian, he just starts shaking, which is, it's cute.
Yeah, so it adds more personality to the inanimate objects,
Yeah.
such that it kind of eclipses the actors.
Yeah.
But and yeah,
Yeah.
you're mentioning Vincent doing one of two really awesome things in this movie.
Right. I don't know. Do we want to skip that far ahead to say what's so
Okay,
cool
well,
about it?
maybe not, because I mean, yeah, like I was saying, the movie has an overture. It has, this great, like, really um, subtle, minimalist kind of opening titles with just like that, OCR
Yeah.
font, and like the grid of the, going to the black hole.
Yeah, it looks
It's
fucking
really,
cool.
yeah, it's really dripping with mood in like those first 5 minutes. Then you see like that doofy, googly-eyed robot. Like, oh, okay.
Well, they ease you into it because first all you hear is the you don't see anything. You hear the crew's voices, and you're
Hmm.
like, oh, that sounds like Roddy McDowall. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, Roddy McDowall is that little chode robot.
Right.
I'm being mean because
uh,
and this might be the Stockholm syndrome I alluded to earlier, or it could be just
mhm.
Gen X lead poisoning.
Yes.
I like these stupid ass robots.
that is they that is deliberate. Yes. That's the
Yes,
way that it works.
but
You're being manipulated.
let me ask you this. Oh well, thank you, Walt.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you this, Tim, because you did mention seeing this movie as a kid, as I'm sure
Uh-huh.
most of us did. Hello to all
Right.
you folks listening. What did you think of this as a kid?
To your point earlier, I remember absolutely nothing from this movie except for Maximilian shredding a guy with his spinning knives. That is the only thing I remember. Because as a kid, you're not supposed to see that sort of thing.
Yeah, because that's cool. The rest of the movie
Right.
is like kind of boring.
Yeah, it moves at a fine enough pace. I mean, I do appreciate the formula that it's following,
Hmm.
because again, like, much has been said about Alien being what, like 10 little Indians. It's just, it's a haunted house in space, and this is no different.
Fuck, this
It
came out the same
is,
year as Alien. That's hilarious.
well, yeah, they have a lot in common. um but yeah, like, I mean, it does start strongly enough, because you have them coming across a mysterious derelict ship. You've got Chekhov's black hole, like I said. um I like the sort of mundane perils of space, where you see a ship and you try to dock with it, something goes wrong, you're kind of past the point of no return. It's no different than, like, oh, our car broke down, well, let's just walk up to this creepy old house.
Right, it's a fun setup.
Yeah, it's a tried and true setup, and then you get to meet the reclusive weirdo who lives there, and he has a lot of strange ideas about humanity, and he as a sort of twisted genius with his menacing enforcer. It's sort of, you could do worse than stealing from the most dangerous game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has like all these tropes baked into it, which I can't really fault it for being like, hey, here are all the things that you like. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Disney after all.
Yeah, and
Um,
I do like how Dr. Reinhardt like doesn't reveal himself until well after they've walked onto the bridge and have been talking for a while.
yeah,
It's like, oh, he's such a scamp.
yeah, he's such a great weirdo.
And Maximilian Schell is good. It isn't just the hair. Like,
Uh-huh.
you can tell from his affect that this guy is like off.
He's been on his own for 20 years after killing his entire crew.
Yeah, he kind of acts a lot like me after working from home for 5 or more years.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
Yeah, there's a time where, like, I didn't wear shoes for a year,
yeah, like
practically.
I have a hard time conversing with people, and I tend to stare fixedly at women.
Uh-huh.
I'm working on it.
She is much better, folks.
I wish I had a pet robot though.
So you can just, like, make him do stuff.
Although Reggie is a little bit like Maximilian.
Well, he's incredibly hostile off the bat.
Exactly.
And he just kind of, like, has a chip on his shoulder and resents you and will undermine you and just kind of ruin any plans that you have.
Yeah, and they're both red and have stupid little legs.
Yeah, it's true.
It's uncanny.
So it was a dark and stormy night in outer space
Yes.
when an exploration crew finds a ship that's already orbiting a black hole.
Yeah, which seems like bad vibes already.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
especially since Well, I mean, if it was my traveler group, then they would just be like, "That seems dangerous. Let's keep going. Avoid the black hole. That nothing good happens there." And I'm like, "Okay, let me just tear up this adventure I wrote." But yeah, stupidly, but good, but lucky for us, they forge ahead and are worse off because again, like just basic storytelling stuff. It's like they're put on their back foot. They lost their ship. They're shipwrecked. We've seen this in other places. They lose their weapons or have them taken from them. It's like, okay, well, you're at the mercy of this weirdo on his home turf. How are you gonna get like a return to normalcy and a return to safety? And like that's the whole arc, which I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm literally on board with that.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier the production design, which is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
This was, in fact, I think, the most expensive movie that Disney had produced up to that point.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of anticipation riding on this one, and a lot of aspects of the movie tell you that, yes, Disney was betting a lot on this film because quite a bit of it feels like they were anticipating some kind of dark ride to come from it.
Yeah, but I mean, unless it's just like goofy ghosts and shit in a tropey haunted house, like I don't know how much more Disney can go down that well. Like they're much more adept at saccharine pablum.
Yeah, I think if there had been like a ride that came from this, it would have been like that. Do you remember the part of the tram tour at Universal where you'd like drive into a building and it was like Battlestar Galactica?
I'm
And
sure it was there.
Yeah, there were Cylons and like there was a guy dressed as Starbuck and he shot some Cylons. It was like, okay, like nobody has watched this show in like more than 10 years, but okay. But hey, it was a Universal property.
The Cylons, yeah.
And there were fucking robots in it, so hey, people like robots. Let's put it on the tour.
Sure. All right.
And the kids were like, "Mommy, I don't like this.
Is this TV show still on the air?
Mommy, I want to see Charlton Heston part the Red Sea. I'm a strange child."
Kids, yeah. Kids can't get enough of that. So the black hole.
The very anus of the universe.
Right, yes. And there are multiple ones.
Maximilian's kind of an anus, if you ask me.
His robot is really kind of a black hole.
Of charisma.
In my opinion. Well, yeah, true.
No, I was thinking of Joseph Bottoms. I'm sorry.
Right. Why? No one's thought of Joseph Bottoms. He doesn't even think of himself.
Did you notice, and maybe I only noticed because I watched the movie like 17 times, both he and Robert Forster are wearing wedges.
Oh, good.
Yeah, probably because Anthony Perkins is so tall.
I thought it was in case they might want to do some horseback riding. You gotta have that heeled boot.
I love Anthony Perkins.
Yeah, he's always so weird. He's always like kind of like looking one way and talking out the other side of his mouth.
Yeah, he's every time you see him,
dude.
you're like, there's something up with that guy.
Yeah, like don't ask him about his mother.
But yeah, he's very good in this as a passionate scientist who wants to throw his lot in with Dr. Reinhardt.
The guy who says, "I can travel through a black hole," and he's like, "Well, you've been right about everything so far."
Yeah, and honestly, I was expecting him to be the betrayer in this movie because I hadn't seen it in so long. I didn't remember. Like Tim said, I didn't remember a fucking thing about it except the robots.
I remember Maximilian the killer robot.
Yeah, but I got swerved because the betrayer turns out to be Ernest Borgnine. Boo.
Yeah, and that kind of comes from out of nowhere. It's like, we need a rap on Ernie. How are we going to get him out of this picture?
Yeah, like he decides that he's a coward and he's
Right.
just going to take the ship and try to get out of there. But then he gets his ass shot out of the sky. So, nice
Yeah,
job.
I thought something would happen with that because the movie does kind of rush the ending.
Yeah.
Meteorites. Like, all right. But back to what you were saying earlier about how Disney had a lot of writing on this one, both hoping to get like a dark ride out of it and blah, blah, blah. It's like families don't like scary movies. Like that's all. So that isn't, in Disney's interest to pursue. Like, yes, you can get some, goths interested in, Nightmare Before Christmas, which they haven't really done anything with. It's just kind of the one-off, which, I mean, good for them for showing that level of restraint.
Well, I mean, they
But,
do it at Disneyland every Halloween.
No, I know, but like there isn't like
A franchise.
we haven't gotten like yeah, we haven't gotten like the backstory of like when Sally was being put together. Can
Oh,
you imagine?
ugh.
Great, now I put that out there.
Yeah, shit. Well, I
Well,
just
anyway,
got access to Disney Plus. I feel like I'm going to like see that in the next couple months. So never say never.
yeah, yeah, and you'll find out why she is so obsessed with Jack Skellington because he's in charge of shit and he's not a monster. I mean, he's just talking skeleton. What the fuck are we talking
He
about?
has the voice of Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, that's great. As you say, Disney
Yeah.
put a lot of money into this, and yeah, the sets are nice. Although tastes have changed, and one of the things that I would critique about it, although it's nitpicky and it's CinemaSins E, is that like the floors are the floors of a soundstage, and if I can get like a little like Neil deGrasse Tyson Killjoy on this, these sets are massive,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's a lot of wasted space in them.
Hmm.
And if we had just maybe tightened them up, it would feel more like a spaceship. If we'd put them on a floor that looks like a spaceship floor, that would have helped. Some
Hmm.
other things too. A lot of the lighting in these is kind of flat. Like in some places, the lighting is great. Like in the control tower for one, like they put a lot of effort into that. That's I'm reminded of Agra's orrery from the Dark Crystal.
Right.
Just in like having a lot going on, and there are these like scientists, quote unquote, cyborgs studying stuff, but then there are other scenes where it's like this is a kind of metallic tan hallway with a flat floor and like TV lighting.
It does feel kind of 1979.
Yeah, so I think some of that could probably have been covered up with more dramatic, low key lighting because they have it in the scenes in the control tower where a lot of the lighting is coming from like the control panels, and you have light where you need it. There's Dr. Reinhardt being introduced, and he gets like an whatever the like eyeline like spotlight, the like dramatic eyes. What do they call
Yes.
them? The like Morticia
The
Adams light.
yeah, the Captain Kirk like spot on the eyes. I really like that kind of lighting.
Yeah, so he gets that, and it was like they had some dramatic lighting to start, but they kind of lose their steam, later on, in later scenes.
That's an interesting point and probably reflective of Disney where they don't want to get like too wild with anything, which does
Right? Yeah,
contribute to the movie's stodginess.
Disney does have a very sort of crowdsourced, means tested approach to creativity.
Yeah, and it actually occurred to me while I was watching the movie again today
Hmm.
because I was watching it and definitely feeling that I mean, hey, like it worked on me at least temporarily where you feel comforted by like the physical sets and the optical effects and like, oh man, why don't they
Hmm.
do them like this anymore and blah blah. And I was like, wow, like given enough time, like even the most like inoffensive Disney pablum like
Hmm.
feels good like after a
Right.
while because
Yeah.
nothing about this movie is that extraordinary in terms of like the story or the themes or anything like that.
That's probably the crux of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know, but the flip side is like in an age of not just computer generated imagery, which can be used well, but in an era of AI,
Hmm.
the physical sets, like actors
Yeah.
interacting with physical things.
Right. And yeah, there are good elements of that. Like in particular, in the opening scenes of the movie where it is whatever their craft is and they're
The Palomino.
maneuvering to yes, the Palomino. You can tell us all about that. When
It's a horsey.
yes. All right. So when the Palomino docks with the Cygnus.
Thanks, Jen. Great contribution.
Yeah, yeah, great.
Oh, speaking of horses, do you catch that one line where they're getting near the black hole and the ship is kind of starting to like shake? And Joseph Bottoms has a line where he says she's bucking like a bronco, but it sounds like he says she's fucking like a bronco.
Maybe that is what he meant.
Ride him.
Yeah. I'm fucking the ship right into the black hole. It's going to be, well, they're going to, channel Slim Pickens and just ride it into oblivion like the bomb in Strangelove.
Yeah, and Maximilian's like, I'm going to fist fuck your little robot to death, bitch.
No, Dr. Reinhardt turns to Maximilian and he's just like, I want to be inside you. Spoiler alert.
And it really did be like that, but
yeah.
we're getting to
but
that
to your
slowly.
point earlier, when the Palomino's docking with Cygnus and their gravity is like silvery wine, all nonsense. And yeah, Jen makes a great point in that the combination of practical effects, camera effects and wire work by the actors is done, very subtly. And the way that they present zero gravity, where it is something like, I'm going to get from one side of the cabin to the other, but I'm going to do it just by like doing a cartwheel, basically, that like isn't showy and it isn't commented upon. It's like, we're in zero gravity. This is how we get around.
Yeah.
And that sort of subtlety I appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently the actors took a couple of weeks to work with the wires and the harnesses and like get the hang of it, because it isn't just the kind of thing where you like strap on and go like Maximilian.
Yeah, and it does, right. And it is made, the wire work in particular is made good use of throughout the movie, because there are continuing, zero gravity scenes of people like, flying off and turning around and grabbing onto stuff. And it's very well done. Less so, and, not to nitpick, less so when there are scenes of, Maximilian and Vincent fighting, which need a little more, I feel, sort of dramatic weight to them, because while it is exciting watching two robots fight, there are scenes where it's like, these are two marionettes getting dragged across a soundstage while stuff blows up.
I don't know. Maybe it's my psychological condition, but the conflict is so well set up. I mean, these two like hate each other on sight. So by the time they actually clash, I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
It's kind of like Vincent just being like, Maximilian, you've been riding my data port since I hovered on board here. Whatever you're going to say to me, say it. And let's just have it out, you big, dark, red son of a bitch.
Yeah, and as it turns out, Maximilian apparently doesn't say anything, so Vincent is like, okay, motherfucker. If I'm not going around you, I'm going right through you, bitch.
Right. Well, yeah. And the two, like, plucky little droids, sorry, copyright. Well, hell, it's a Disney movie. Whatever. The two plucky droids, Lucasfilm Limited, copyright, Walt Disney Company. They do not take any shit.
No.
And that's what makes them such endearing characters. And they're big, googly eyes, like little babies. But there's a part where, like, when they all come on board, and then they meet Dr. Reinhardt, and he's crazy. But Maximilian the Killer Robot, like, he shows up and he's immediately an asshole to them. Like, without a word, you're just like, oh, this guy sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he's a space cop. Robot.
Yeah. A-Rab. Mm-hmm. All robots are bastard. No, A-Dab, all droids, whatever.
Careful,
and then,
Tim, we're not doing Aladdin.
Right, yeah. Oh. Let me just recite some of the lyrics from the Aladdin movie.
Hi, did he die? Oh, wait, that's the other Aladdin.
Right, yeah, the good one. They are directed to Reinhardt after, like, Maximilian, because apparently Maximilian doesn't, like, listen to him a lot. He's like, oh, I'm going to kill this motherfucker. Yeah. Hans Reinhardt, it's like, bad robot. So, yeah, he is a lot like your dog.
Yeah.
He sucks.
No,
but, yeah,
you.
Reinhardt says, hey, Maximilian, help these guys get some stuff to fix up their ship. And that's when, Vincent and two of the interchangeable actors go to get some stuff, and that's where they meet Bob, and Bob is a beat up old robot, and Maximilian just kind of like sweeps him off a shelf, just like, here's this piece of shit robot on the floor with you garbage can. And so already the two types of robots, Vincent and Bob, like they are very proud robots because they are well made. There's a antagonism set up between Maximilian, who is a worse robot, who is bad at his job. I can get into that later. And then these two plucky droids who are like, no, like we're hot shit. We know that we're the best droids on this ship. They best like Captain Star, who is like the black hat gunfighter robot, which is a weird scene to put in here. I'm not knocking it, but
it's fun. It is a little weird. I appreciate that they because they were so invested in the robot's personality that it's like, okay, we're gonna have a funny bit where they're like, oh, Vincent, go have fun with these other robots, and he's like,
it is so out of place. Yeah, it's Maximilian.
In that respect, he's a lot like you.
Okay, yeah.
It's like I gotta talk to these people. Fuck. All right. God.
If I must, let's get this over with.
And then you got a chip on your shoulder, like from the get-go, like just assuming the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not wrong.
Right? Yeah. Well, as a robot who's been around other robots, I don't like them. ADAB. There.
This is our continuing series on autistic excellence in the movies.
Hang on, let me write a poem about this. Yeah, but so the robots, they kind of don't take any shit from any of the other robots because they're like, they have a smugness built into them where they're like, some Pickens is like, remember, we're the best robots that ever been.
It's robot pride. It's what one would expect from a somewhat oppressed minority.
Right. It is a robot nationalist. Anyway, but so Maximilian is the red robot, and there are all the other red security robots that are they are worse than stormtroopers. Utterly useless.
Yeah, stormtroopers can at least bend their knees.
Right, yeah. These are mostly the effects guys will line these up and we'll set off the pyro and then, we'll have the scene.
The limbs fall off. It's cool.
Right. Limbs fall off. Their faces explode. They're meant to blow up. I'm sure there's an action figure that did that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But as it turns out, they're pretty much just mowing down the crew of the ship.
The robots are?
Yeah.
The robots aren't doing shit. I began to wonder what the efficacy of lasers are in the black hole continuity. Because I think lasers only destroy the security robots. Because I think I saw Robert Forster get shot with a laser and he fell back and then he got up again. And I'm like, what is the purpose of the lasers? And I think because it was in that same scene where I think Maximilian felt the same way because he was shooting lasers at everyone. He's trading laser fire with Vincent, and nothing was really happening. And the both of them were just like, all right, well, to hell with the lasers then. Let's just come on, pincer to robot body. Let's go mano a mano.
I think it has a lot to do with a thing that happens in a lot of movies where it's in Star Wars where stormtroopers cannot hit the broadside of a Star Destroyer because it is expedient to the story.
Right.
But going back to what I said about the crew, all the robots on the Cygnus are basically the previous crew, kind of put into robot bodies and repurposed, right?
Yeah, that's the big reveal is that all the robots that Dr. Reinhardt has helping him are cyborgs of the dead crew, just sort of zombified living dead, performing rote tasks. I mean, he is the CEO and they are the, Amazon warehouse workers.
Right. Yeah, they're driving the delivery trucks.
Right. And
piss.
Some of them die, whatever.
Their robot piss.
Yeah. Worst Daft Punk song ever.
Piss.
Speaking of
robot piss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I do like about the movie is that's a cool and fucked up reveal. And,
it shows that the guy's lack of humanity, where it's
right.
I'm willing to exploit and murder as many people as it takes to continue my work.
Yeah.
Maybe that's relevant these days. I don't know.
Yeah. We're all cyborg
What
robots.
federal safety regulations?
Oh, God. Did you hear that they want to stop paving roads?
I'm sure there'll be like a community sourced version for that.
I'm gonna
We
I'm
are
gonna
going
get
to
a
die.
horse.
Yeah.
Reggie's not going to like that, but he's not in charge. But what I was going to say is that, to go back to the cyborg thing, and there is like a scary reveal when Anthony Perkins pulls the face off of one of the robots, and you just see this like staring, dead-eyed, like shriveled face. And
right, if a CEO could work an employee after they had died, they would.
They absolutely would, because you
Yeah.
could probably pay him less too, if at all. And
Yeah, who says he's paying anyone?
yeah, exactly. And
Right.
he pays them in like credits to go play like the laser shooting game. It's like, oh, you get a free play for working a 90-hour week.
Yeah, that's why Captain Star is so good. That was his bonus.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
got extra credits.
And this is emblematic of what I like about the movie, which is all the dark, fucked up stuff. Sadly, that was probably one of the reasons why the movie didn't do well, because anything Disney branded with that kind of tone might not go over. I don't know what people were expecting when they went to see this, but they were probably like, ugh, like that wasn't fun. But
Right.
as like a sort of dark science fiction story, even though it drags at like an hour and 40 minutes, there's a little bit to chew on there. And I like the fucked up stuff. Like the one Disney live action movie I like is the one that feels less like a Disney film. And
Right.
in kind of the same vein, like recently I watched kind of an animated film from sort of the nadir of the Disney animated era, at least before the current one where they just started making shitty live action versions of everything. I watched The Black Cauldron, which came a few years later in 1985, which has gotten a reputation as like, oh, it's like so dark and scary and just like not appropriate and blah, blah, blah. And I watched it and, it was like reasonably well made, a little dull. And I was like, they should have like turned the fucked up stuff to like 11, because that was the only stuff in there that was cool.
Yeah, the traumatizing stuff is what sticks with you.
Yeah.
'Cause, like I said, I don't remember anything else about the black hole. I might have remembered the ending, just because I was like, well, is he inside the robot or not? It's like, you're a child and you don't understand abstract concepts.
Right.
So
yeah, and
maybe that was part of it.
Maybe. I mean, and you know what? Like, they didn't care, so why should we? They didn't write an ending to their script. They were like, they told the director and crew, like, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, you got it. I totally have faith in you. Like, you could have written me fuck you. Nope, sorry, I already got paid.
Yeah.
Rewrites are extra.
Yeah. It is like, I don't know. I don't know if we want to, if we're even at the ending yet. Have we,
Well, you can skip basically an hour. I mean, really, if we're gonna watch any of the, if you're gonna watch any of the black hole, watch when Maximilian kills a guy and then watch the ending.
Not the most,
because that's the part where you're like, oh, this gets freaky.
Yeah, not the most dignified death for Anthony Perkins, sadly.
No,
I mean it's brutal, but it's also hilarious. Like that close up of him getting killed.
Well, yeah, it's brutal. You don't like being stabbed in the chest.
No, even through a book.
By knives.
Yeah.
Rotating knives, yes.
Well, what we wanted was a family-friendly science fiction movie and not an abattoir. I got bad news for you.
Yeah, easy mistake to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I came here for an argument.
I don't know. We could probably get to like really the only cool parts. I don't want to say only cool parts. The
only notable parts.
Yeah, well, there are two parts of this movie that to me were fucking metal. And I was like, why the fuck wasn't the whole movie like this? This is the sickest thing I've ever seen. Okay, so the first sickest thing I've ever seen is something which Tim alluded to briefly, which is when Maximilian and Vincent finally decide they're going to have it out. Maximilian is trying to stop the remains of the Palomino's crew from getting to the probe ship to escape.
Yes.
So he's blocking their path.
And, I mean, there are ways that you can kind of goose it up dramatically. I think like the presentation of this has been refined in subsequent years, but yeah, the basic idea is there, where it's like, oh, let's get out of here, and it's like, no, you have to come through me, even though the robot doesn't say as much.
Aw, shit. And yeah, so
Yeah.
he's in their way. He's implacable, and he murders Bob, basically, as we find out. And Vincent is like, fuck it, I am going to save the human crew, give them the chance to escape. So he just charges headfirst into Maximilian, and that starts kind of like a pushing contest. The part where like I woke the fuck up, because the first time I watched this, which was the first time in years, like I had been kind of like zoning out a little bit, because you get to the point where it's like, oh no, we're all running around all crazy trying to get off the ship, and you're like, okay, let's move this along. Like, all
Yeah,
right.
it's kind of abrupt and episodic.
Yeah.
Even when like the meteorites show up, I'm like, did they skip a page?
Yeah. And meanwhile I'm like, what, how do you fuck up a ship that bad and not just have it like instantly, just like, wouldn't everybody just be dead like immediately?
There is a part where one of the crew is like floating away from the shuttle, and they're being dragged toward to the black hole, and I'm like, wait, are they outside?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so it's just like, look, we'll get to another set piece. Don't think about it.
Yeah, like that's something that I don't want to hand it to Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he's not wrong. Like, the science of this science fiction movie is not the strongest point. Like, maybe it takes another page from Star Wars where it's like, hey, it's space opera. It's not hard sci-fi, Heinlein. Like, who gives a shit? But whatever.
Right, yeah. Let's just, establish the rules and adhere to them. Like,
just visualize in your mind, like, the ride at Disneyland, like, in Tomorrowland. The ship's falling apart around you, and you're being shaken in your seat. Like, trust me, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Just look at these concept boards. I promise you, people will love this. And then nobody liked the movie, so they threw those out. But anyway, so the point where they're like chest to chest, Maximilian and Vincent, and there's like electricity going through, and like Vincent's head is rotating.
The electricity between them is just so powerful.
Ooh, that robot passion.
Yes.
Really makes you leak oil. I don't know.
Right, yeah. It really charges my batteries.
And then Vincent, as it turns out, resembles the R2-D2 of the prequels, in that not only is he able to fly, but he also has like whatever Swiss Army knife attachment you need to do the job.
Yeah.
This fucking Dremel comes out of his chest and drills into Maximilian, and Maximilian starts screaming.
Yeah, it's like, see how you like it.
Yeah, and I sat up. I was in the living room. I sat up and I was like, holy shit, that is fucking cool. He's fucking that robot up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And Vincent then makes it to the probe ship to go through the black hole with the human crew. And I was like, okay, that was cool. More of that. Yeah,
just the fearless, indestructible Mary Sue robot. Because he's also the one like dispensing wisdom the whole time too.
Yeah.
When they're like, sort of having a Socratic debate on the merits of basically like commandeering Dr. Reinhardt's ship, and even still, he's like, a wolf remains a wolf even if it's not eaten your sheep. And them trying to like rush him along, like doing repairs, and he says, a pint cannot hold a quart. Even holding a pint, it's doing the best it can.
And I'm holding a pint of fish food from Ben and Jerry.
I'm ready to hold a pint right now. Go down the pub. No, but it's like, I'm gonna break that out the next time someone asks me why I'm not meeting my metrics. I'm like, hey, a pint can only hold a pint. What do you want from me?
And then they're gonna unsheathe their spinning blades and advance toward you implacably.
Right. Yeah.
And you'll be like, okay.
I'll be like, let me just find my Dremel tool. Yeah.
Damn, that was cool.
Yeah. As the Arabs say, all sunshine makes a desert. So there, throw that out, and the next time someone says, you need to smile more.
As the Arabs say, this is the worst place God created.
Yeah.
This is the box office's anvil.
Yeah.
I forced that one. But yeah, so,
right.
Okay, and the second most metal fucking thing in this movie, and maybe of like any movie of this era, because goddamn. Okay, so we alluded as well to the moment when Dr. Reinhardt, who has been blown out of the ship, merges in blissful space coitus with his robot.
Yeah. He becomes one with his sort of insubordinate robot companion.
Yeah, it really looks like they're fucking.
Of course. I mean, they're the only companionship that either has had for 2 decades.
Yeah, and because the people doing script revision on this have pretty much punted at this point. They're like, I don't know, like Dr. Reinhardt merges with Maximilian, and then
which like isn't really set up.
No, it's weird.
Yeah, it is, the ending is very muddled.
Yeah, you can read a lot into it, or nothing.
Right. Yeah, it's open-ended enough for, the director's just like, hey, you have at it. Tell what do you see here?
Yeah. They wrote like after that page that had question mark on it, they just wrote like another couple sentences.
Right. Yeah. Well, the director is saying, hey, the screenwriter saddled me with this, and they just pass the buck. They're like, okay, audience, now it's your problem. You figure it out.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, like I got a pretty good grasp of optical effects. What can we do that will look cool?
And that's the thing that science scolds, like our bête noire NDT, like don't understand, is it's like, because there's that hay made out of like an offhand remark from like some like TMZ like videographer like cornering him, like coming out of, I don't know, just like going home or something. And he's like, hey, what science fiction movie do you hate the most? And then, that's enough to like trigger him. So like he turns back around and like he'll engage with the guy because he baited him into a conversation.
Right.
And
They're
so he talks about like, right.
Which is deplorable, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The world needs scumbags too, I guess.
What the world needs now is scum, sweet scum.
So they goad him into him bitching about shit just to be like, oh man, I'm going to get this scientific luminary to say something like unguarded. And, he talks about the ending of the black hole. It's like, why didn't they have spaghettification? That's so much more interesting than what really happened. And like, there's like Michio Kaku or something who's got like, he's going to mention string theory and some other like horseshit.
Get the fucking ancient aliens guy with the hair in there while you're at it.
Oh,
Jesus
God,
Christ.
yeah. I know. And that's kind of like, that's like my drinking game when I used to watch the History Channel or something that would like purport to inform you. Where it's like when they mention spaghettification, it's like take a drink. Although usually it's at that point I just turn it off because I'm like, I'm not learning anything at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, spaghettification is just, because of the extreme, delta in gravity, like you get stretched out. Maybe gruesomely, who knows?
Yeah. Which is like,
but
okay,
it's all
fine, but how do you do that in 1979?
Also, it's like, what is interesting about that to the story? Because that is the thing, is that I understand like the screenwriter punted because they didn't have any fucking clue. And the director punted because, they didn't have anything to work with. But I understand that from a narrative and, emotional perspective, it's like, we can't show what it's like going through a black hole because we don't know. And even if we did, it may not be like visually engaging. So instead, what does it feel like to go through a black hole? And let's shoot that.
Yeah. And that's what they did.
So yeah, I know that's the thing that like you need to like sit down, Neil deGrasse Tyson with his, PhDs or whatever and like explain some humanities to him and be like, okay, now how everything is exactly what it is? Well, let me introduce you to a concept called metaphor, where one thing represents another thing, and it'll be like, already you lost me. Doesn't make sense. So,
it's too late, Tim. The STEM lords will kill us all.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Take a fucking calligraphy class. Read a book. Like I'm one to talk though, because all my references are like, hey, what is everything that every grade schooler knows about books and movies and culture? Like, well.
At least you
that you were
tried.
saying.
But I didn't even get to the most metal part yet, which is when
Yeah.
Dr. Reinhardt is merged with Maximilian. You get like a close up of his like kind of like startled eyes looking out of the head of Maximilian, and then you start pulling out and you're like, wait, what the hell is this? And then it's Maximilian like against this kind of like fiery background. You keep pulling out, he's on like this column of rock, and you're like, wait, where the fuck are we? And they keep pulling out and you're like, what, are we in hell?
Yeah, it is. Jen, you know the name because I won't remember it. What that the painter, the one that did like the Garden of whatever Earthly Delights, and then the other one that it's like,
Hieronymus Bosch.
yeah, it's like kind of a budgety Hieronymus Bosch.
It's like
Where it is,
it's like if any of you have seen Wayne Barlow's illustrations of hell.
that's a great example as well.
Yeah, or
Because you have
Beksinski.
Yeah, because you have like, these like ashen robed figures just kind of like swaying like, towards like a ruined stone temple, like over like this, narrow, rocky bridge over a pit of fire. And you're like, oh, that's what's in a black hole.
Yeah, like
Thanks.
you see like it might be
Thanks, Wayne Barlow.
yeah, it might be the burning wreckage of the Cygnus, or it could just be like the literal sulfurous hell. And it is such a cool shot. And for 30 or 40 seconds, I'm like, this is the coolest movie I've ever seen.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that ending goes hard.
Yeah, that is so sick. I love that so much.
Yeah. Like nothing leading up to it means anything. And when you see it, it doesn't make any sense in context. But you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Because that is the feeling of going through a black hole. Because, I mean, you can't describe spaghettification, someone being like, oh, that's really spooky. But if you say, you are trapped inside the merged body of a robot and you're in hell, stuck on like a rock, and there are robed figures chanting and there's fire everywhere, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Didn't anticipate that, Dr. Reinhardt, did you? What was your hypothesis compared to this?
Right, yeah. It is like a vision of the like Einstein Dio like heavy metal bridge.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so it's like, we got a little bit of science here and we got a little bit of I don't know, this is going to make a killer album cover.
Yeah, get Wayne Barlow to paint that, because
right.
I would buy that for $1.
Yeah. So, or I would see it for free on archive.org, because Disney doesn't give a shit. Like, they don't have any plans for the black hole.
Yeah. And, and by the way, the remnants of our human crew and Vincent make it through the black hole, because they go through like some kind of heavenly glass.
Yeah, they go through like
tunnel.
some kind of, some like glass cathedral thing, where that's where it gets like really abstract.
And there's an angel or something?
Apparently. I mean,
some kind of robed figure.
Who's to say?
Yeah, it don't matter.
It's a metaphor. Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird too, because even at the end, it's like, hey, Robert Forster, are we escaping? It's like, no, we're going through the black hole. And it's like, well, then what were we escaping from? Why are we here? What did we do? None of this helped.
Yeah, and then you pull back on the probe ship moving toward a planet lit from behind by a sun, and then credits. And it's like, okay, well, they made it. Who knows where they're going?
Yeah.
It would be funny if they just fell into another black hole.
Yeah, I don't, and that planet turned out to be LV 426. Yeah.
Oh God, it's not Prometheus, is it?
Oh, geez, no. This is a science fiction story. This is not just complete garbage.
Garbage, yeah.
Yeah.
Garbo.
Right. Yeah, and I think maybe why I retained so little of the movie as a kid is that, the ending is very slapdash. Like, things don't really lead to, like, one thing doesn't lead to another, which I know The Fix is very preoccupied with.
They go through the tunnel and they see Cy Kernan.
One thing leads to another. Just like stuff happens. Yeah. Red skies around a black hole, when apparently you can be in outer space in a black hole and it doesn't matter. Dr. Reinhardt gets, sucked out of the ship, and rather than like dying immediately, He goes and he meets up with Vincent, or he goes and meets up with Maximilian inexplicably. Yeah, like the ending is tough to retain because you don't go, oh yeah, that makes sense. You go, then that
Mm-hmm.
happened. Yeah, the ship, gets perforated by meteorites. Sorry, meteoroids. Don't correct me. Um, which those also show up inexplicably, and I would have gone for something that was more like organic to the scene, where it's like, yeah, it turns out there is a shit ton of turbulence around the event horizon of a black hole because you're interacting with matter moving at the speed of light. Yeah, things get a little crazy. Um, but no, it's just like, well, we had this meteorite effect ready, and we're going to do that because it's big fireball explodey type thing. Like,
Yeah,
all right,
because
fine.
even a dummy like me who
Uh huh.
doesn't immediately turn off the kind of like space 101 shows that you get on
Yeah.
cable is kind of like, wait a minute, this is like the unforgiving environment of space. Like this thing is just kind of falling apart, like they're in a wind tunnel and
Yeah.
maybe there's some sort of heavy things rushing by, but I'm probably demanding too much of the film.
Right. Yeah. Like sound in space, I'll allow. Air in space, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And I like, well, and it begs the question, like,
Hmm.
even if you went into a black hole, wouldn't you just be mashed?
Killed instantly. Well, I had a short story that I didn't end up doing anything with that kind of meditated on that. The notion being that if, as you approach the speed of light, time relatively slows down for you, which is why apparently when, and this is, hell, we should link to a YouTube video on it, but like the way that it works is that the closer that you get to a black hole, and the way that it's gravity is, to use a scientific term, all fucked up. There's a point where any direction you move is basically down. So no matter which way you go, you're past the event horizon. You can only go further into the black hole. Whereas all the light that is coming into the black hole continues to do so at a rate where it is basically like compressed into, geez, I'm misremembering and probably conflating a couple of different things. But in the same way that like everything points down, it means that like you're basically getting like a 360-degree view of the universe around you, that because of your speed is slowing down, which means your last moments in a black hole is, and this is another thing too where they talk about sort of like latent visual echo of like the moment when you're falling into a black hole, because you're perceived, and again theoretically you're perceived to basically stop because like your light isn't moving any further beyond that. So as far as anyone sees, it's like, well, you're still there. You're just at the moment before you fell into the black hole. So if we extrapolate on that, I'm really high, by the way. If we extrapolate on that, then you say like, well, flip that around. From the outside world, we're seeing you frozen in time, but from your perspective, you're watching the rest of the universe go by. So in a way, like you kind of if time is relative, like you don't really age, but you get to see the entire universe age while you are frozen. And that seemed to me like a really freaky concept, where it's like, oh, I get to sit here and watch the universe evolve over the next 50 billion years until this black hole evaporates, because time for me is moving differently than everyone else. It also has a metaphor about what the hell am I doing with my life.
I'm going to say that all of that was probably out of the scope of even the Imagineers.
All right, fine. We'll just have some big meteorites crash through, and then have the robot bump the other one, and then make him fall into a cloud of lava. I don't know.
Yeah. We're in hell now.
We're in the black hole.
Yes, we are in. Sorry, you're stuck inside your killer robot in hell.
Oh, so he's safe then. Is he wearing the robot? What a sicko. He's wearing the robot skin.
Yeah, Tim, it's like Robotech where they sit in the robots.
I love that. That's my favorite thing about it, where they go and they sit in the robots.
Yeah, you sit in the robots.
Yeah, I don't know what else they
Evangelion.
do. Yeah.
Sit in the robot, Shinji. Is there anything else that we want to say about Disney's The Black Hole?
If you want to talk about traumatic cyborgifying scenes in movies, there's the one of the woman getting turned into a robot in Superman 3.
Oh, yeah, everybody remembers that one.
Yeah.
Mainly what I remember about that movie is that it has Robert Vaughn, whom I love.
Right, yeah. He gets turned into Robert Vaughn.
No, he gets turned into Proteus, the computer from Demon Seed.
Oh, okay. Good. And at that point, Jen's like, I thought this erotic thriller is listed as a horror movie. What's going on here?
What's Julie Christie's problem not wanting to get raped by this computer?
Yeah, why is she so uptight? One other thing I liked was when they're heading into the black hole and the whatever infinite energy core is blowing up and whatever, and the screen says like warning system overload, and I'm like, yeah, no shit, you're going into a black hole.
Hey, I'm doing my best, okay?
Hey, a pint can only hold a pint. Why don't you back off? Black a hole ahead. Apply brakes.
It just starts flashing. Slow down.
Yeah. Clearly you've never watched me play Forza on the level where you're racing around the black hole. I think I can go 101 speed of light.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yep.
I'm going to turn into Maximilian Schell.
Yep.
So
that's... the Shell is a red robot, right?
Yes. Disney's The Black Hole, currently available to stream on Disney Plus.
Yeah, just watch it wherever. Watch it on Pluto TV. Watch it on your phone. Disney doesn't care.
It can be had. It does pop up occasionally for free on YouTube.
Yeah. Or let's see. There's a North Korean movie site that I watch all my movies on.
Or I don't know. You could watch 2001 again.
Yeah, hell, I don't know. Yeah, you could watch Silent Running.
But then I'll cry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't watch a movie that makes you feel something. Watch a Disney movie instead. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord, where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes. Right, yeah. And I didn't even lean into Daft Punk jokes. I just alluded to them, but I wanted to do more, but it's like, Tim, you have enough hack material that you're belaboring.
Cock. Robot cock.
I know, that's...
Speaking of hack material.